Hello, welcome along to another Betfred Football Show. It's been quite a week of contrasting fortunes for Liverpool and Manchester City, but they are going head-to-head now for the title. Loads to talk about on another massive week of fixtures. I'm going to do it in the company of Micky Gray, the former Sunderland, Blackburn, Leeds, Celtic defender. It's a long list, Micky, but we've plenty to talk about, haven't we?
Yeah, we definitely have. I mean, when's it going to end? It's just incredible, isn't it? I think obviously the race for the title. I think the conversation about European football still there. The British sides are doing ever so well, and obviously the bottom of the table with relegations, and now playoffs as well. It's just never ending.
Well, it will end because the summer is coming, but we'll get stuck into things. We'll talk about Liverpool's fortunes and City's in the Champions League in the week. Liverpool buoyed, of course, by reaching the Champions League final. That's an added incentive, and they don't have to worry about that now. But they might be worrying about Tottenham this week and a point separating the top two in the title race. I know you've kind of always gone with City. You're going to stick with that, but Liverpool, tough game against Spurs, who can be anything.
No, absolutely, and I mean, you talk about momentum, and certainly Liverpool have got that. They've had it for a long time. I mean, the record against Tottenham of late is absolutely fantastic as well. But it's one of those games where obviously Tottenham are fighting for their lives to get themselves into that top four. You're relying on the forward players to get the goals for them. Have they got enough? Are they strong enough to do anything at Anfield against Liverpool? I think it's going to be a really difficult game for Tottenham. Liverpool, the confidence that they've got, it doesn't seem to matter what 11 Jurgen Klopp picks at the moment. Every player that comes into that starting 11
He's got 16 or 17
flying.
he can 100% rely on, isn't he? And that's the
exactly.
difference.
And the strength is, I mean, you look at the first 11, if they're not performing, then he can obviously go towards his bench and he can bring on 2, 3, 4 top quality players. And it doesn't weaken them at all in any positions. And I think that's obviously to his disposal because they've got quality. And I think knowing that he's got that confidence and that reliability of the players on the bench, then, whatever side he picks at the minute, and obviously the crowd, you have to take that into consideration at Anfield. They're absolutely flying. Who's to say and who's going to stop them? I think there's only Man City in the Premier League, obviously, who are going to stop them there. But in everything else, they just look favourites for everyone.
Relentless. Unbeaten in 21 Premier League home matches, 52 goals, conceded 9. What a stat that is.
It's superb, isn't it? And it just knows that everybody's on the same page. They play a certain style of football that obviously a lot of sides, not just around Europe, but in the Premier League, they've not been able to work it out. And when you do work it out, then they've got better players than you. So don't perform well, but they still come up with the goods and they keep scoring goals. And defensively, they look so solid.
4-9 Liverpool, 11-2 for the away side, 18-5 Conte, twice managed at Anfield. Both have ended 1-1.
Yeah, and there's a lot of penalties in this tie as well. You go back a few years, I think Harry Kane had a couple, didn't he, where he missed his first one but showed the confidence to stick the ball in the back of the net with his second one. But as a contest, you look at the styles of these teams. I think Conte will probably look at it and think, well, if we go out and play offensive football, then we're going to get caught out defensively because I don't think they're the greatest at the back. He's obviously brought something to their side and they've got the chance of finishing that top four. But you do fancy Liverpool. I think they've got the tools and the ammunition to obviously get through this tie and obviously keep the pressure on Man City at the top of the table.
4-9 Liverpool, I fancy that one. We'll talk about the title in a moment. So we've got to talk about Man City and their fortunes. They take on Newcastle. It was always going to be a tough fixture this. We saw Liverpool overcome Newcastle at St James's. Dangerous Newcastle, big price as well at 14s, because how much of an influence will that disappointment this week in the Champions League semi-final be for Pep's men, or will it just spur them on to make sure they do get the title wrapped up?
Well, let's not take anything away from the way that the players must be feeling right now. Having to travel back from Madrid, the disappointment of obviously not reaching the Champions League final. I think we saw the interviews from Pep Guardiola. He looked a little bit flat. The extra 30 minutes, extra time in a huge game like that just takes every ounce of energy out of you. So it's up to the manager, which he's certainly done before. He's obviously been in this position before, of getting the best out of his players in this big game against Newcastle. I mean, they're back in front of their home fans. They will have had time to rest. And whatever 11 that Pep picks, I mean, it's going to be a difficult game against a resurgent Newcastle, if you like.
Yeah.
But I do think that Man City will win this game, although Newcastle will cause them a few problems.
Maybe score, though. And never won a Premier League game at the Etihad. They've drawn twice. They've lost each of their last 12. I mean, that is a terrible stat, isn't it, for Newcastle?
It is, but I think, if you look right the way through the Premier League, they're probably very similar to other sides, because Man City at home, it is that fortress for them. They're playing some wonderful football. They have got some good players now, Newcastle. I think you look at Joe Linton's form since Eddie Howe walked through the door.
Who is Joe Linton? Where's he come from?
I think it's somebody else, isn't it?
But he's playing in a different role, isn't he?
He is, He's been playing more so on the left-hand side. I was there against Liverpool. It wasn't the greatest game in the world, to be completely honest with you, but I think they might have Callum Wilson back. Yep. Whether he starts the game or not will give them that little bit more pace up front. So it gives them more options playing against Man City, and it's all about getting off to a good start and giving yourself something to hang on to. But the way City play, a reaction from them, I think everybody's expecting that. I don't think their energy levels are going to stoop that low, and I still think you're going to get a really top performance from them. And look, they have to try and win that Premier League with the games that they've got left.
Are they going to win it, Micky? You've stuck with them so far.
Yeah, I still believe that Man City are going to go all the way. I don't see Liverpool or Man City slipping up until the end of the season, which obviously means Man City win the Premier League by 1 point. And it's been like that, or feels like it's been like that for the last 3 or 4 seasons. I mean, they've just brought something different to Premier League football. They're outstanding teams.
Yep, certainly are. Which also affects how we top 4 betting is. So he's going with City to win and Liverpool to win, if you fancy that as a double. But we talked about Spurs and we're talking about Arsenal for a top 4 finish. Tottenham looked in the driving seat. Arsenal have been really good last couple of weeks. Tottenham now have got to go to Liverpool. Well, Arsenal have got a much easier game on paper against Leeds. But saying that, Leeds are absolutely scrapping for their lives now. All of a sudden, they could go down.
Yeah. It's like nobody was speaking about Leeds for a couple of months, and then slowly but surely...
Great. They've been in great form, haven't they?
Absolutely.
I think, under Jesse Marsch.
And that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, the sides below you start winning games, you start catching up the sides above you, and Leeds United being one of them. It's a brilliant club. They have been dragged into this relegation fight. You look at the games they've got left. I mean, Chelsea at home, Brighton and Brentford, they've got the last 2 games of the season. Their home crowd are going to play a massive part in whether Leeds United stay in the Premier League or not. I don't see them getting anything against Arsenal, Jason, if I'm completely honest with you. I think Arsenal themselves, obviously chasing down that 4th spot, want to establish themselves there as quick as they possibly can before the last few games of the season. And I still think Leeds have enough. I do think the sides below them will win games. So it's certainly in Leeds United hands to win football matches, and I think it's going to come in those last 2 games of the season. But who's going to finish in that bottom 3? Honestly, I haven't got a clue. It changes every week.
Yeah, well, Everton, massive win for them last time out. So Liverpool, Spurs, Liverpool to win that one. Arsenal to beat Leeds United. Arsenal have beaten their last 11 meetings with Leeds in all competitions.
Yeah.
Is that the way for you?
Yeah, I think the younger guys who've obviously came into the starting 11, and Nketiah looks as if he's found a little bit of form over the last couple of weeks as well. I think they'll be strong, and obviously what's at the end of it, that top 4 spot, is absolutely huge for Arsenal, and I do see them winning this game against my old club Leeds.
There you go, 3 put up already. Let's have a look at Brighton against Manchester United. United's form has tailed off. The 6-4 to win at Brighton. We know they've had troubles. We know they've got a manager coming in. We know Ralph Rangnick has said they need to strengthen in all departments bar the goalkeeper. It's not a healthy recommendation for the incoming manager, is it?
Well, it just means that the owners have got to put their hand in the pocket and bring in some fresh faces, and they've got to kind of get rid of, for want of a better word, dead wood, because they've been at the club for a little bit too long. It's obviously not worked out for them at Man United. I was at the last home game. It was probably their best performance at home throughout the whole of the season against Brentford. Ronaldo worked his socks off, as he obviously got himself on the score sheet as well. It was a top performance, and you scratch your head, you're thinking, where's this been all season? But it's papering over cracks, Jason, for Man United at the minute. I mean, they've got 2 away games left now, as we know, against Brighton and Crystal Palace. They want to see this season out. The new manager's going to come through the door, and he's got to get to work as quick as he possibly can. And I suppose you could say, similar to Brighton. I mean, Brighton have had a very decent season. They've got a chance of finishing in the top 10 come the end of the season. That has got to be an aim for Graham Potter and his players. And they want to do that because I think the style of football this season's been really entertaining and exciting, but they just went through those periods in the season where they've not won for 5 or 6 games, and I think that's something that they have to try and address next season.
Lots to talk about. Just going back to that City, we've got a couple of offers I was going to ask you about. So, will Liverpool and Man City to win all remaining Premier League matches? I've seen this is available at 6-1. Would you take that?
I'd take it. Yeah, I just don't see them slipping up. You know, I think last weekend there was a couple of games, wasn't there? Even Liverpool against Newcastle at St James's Park. I think a lot of people were speaking about that, but they looked in control throughout the whole of the game. Liverpool. It wasn't a brilliant performance, but they've got the tools to get the job done, and Man City have got exactly the same thing, and that's why I don't see either side slipping up. Let's
talk about the relegation picture. It's intriguing. Burnley look doomed. Leeds look clear. Everton were in bother before the game against Chelsea, but it's the Claret and Blues, isn't it? Burnley take on Villa this week. That won't be easy, but the relegation still sees Burnley at 4-7, Everton 9-4, Leeds at 3s, Brentford are clear, Newcastle are clear, and ignore the bottom 2.
Yeah, I'd certainly write Newcastle off on that. But what is interesting, I mean, I don't know who the bottom 3 are going to be. It's so hard to call. But the guys are on 34 points. If you think if they get a win at the weekend, it brings in the 3 or 4 teams that are on 40 points. So don't write that off, because it's just been one of those topsy-turvy Premier League seasons where anything seems to be able to happen. And it's a scary situation because, you know, a couple of weeks ago you're looking at Brentford and thinking, well, they're safe. And I think the Southampton are there or thereabouts as well. I think they're on 40 points. So you're wondering, is that enough to actually keep you in the Premier League season? It normally is every single year. But this time around, with Everton starting to win football matches, Burnley starting to win football matches, you just start to panic a little bit, look over your shoulder, and maybe in the next couple of weeks, those odds might change a little bit.
What about that game then? Burnley 2-1, 7-5 for Aston Villa, draw at 9-4. Danny Ings could have a big say in his former club's future, but Burnley looking to win 4 consecutive Premier League matches for the first time in 4 years under a caretaker manager, and everyone sort of gasped when Sean Dyche was sacked.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody did, didn't he? I mean, Michael Jackson's obviously walked through the door and he's done absolutely fantastic. He's kind of changed his system up a little bit. I think he's obviously playing Dwight McNeil a little bit more than what he has done in the previous months. He's found his form, certainly at the right time from a Burnley perspective, and he's playing some wonderful football, as are Burnley. That's why they've been getting the results. And they've got those battling qualities, and they've been at the bottom of the table before. They've got out of it under Sean Dyche, and they'll be hoping they can do it under Michael Jackson as well. And who's to say that they're not going to be able to do that? Aston Villa's season seems to be petering out. You know, they go 4 or 5 games without a win. Then they pick up a win without playing great. I think Steven Gerrard himself can't wait to get to the summer and readdress his squads, look who he's trying to bring into the team. And if he can improve Aston Villa next season, I think that's when we start to judge Steven as an Aston Villa manager. But Burnley playing at home, the momentum that they've got, I can see them winning this match. I really can, because, you know, it goes a long way, momentum, certainly when you're at the bottom of the table. And when you need those battling qualities, there's no better side than Burnley.
Be interesting, won't it, to see what happens between now and the end of the season. Going to be a couple of twists you fancy, as we've seen in the last week or so, which means Everton have got to try and get something surely against Leicester. Not a bad time to be playing Leicester on the back of a European semi-final, where they're in Rome, of course, on Thursday night. And they talk about momentum, and there is belief surely for the Toffees now.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be. Frank Lampard has to find a formula of getting the best out of what 11's available for him. And I think if you saw the last game that they played, I mean, the atmosphere in the stadium, you know, the fans coming into the ground, it was just absolutely incredible. What I remember from the Evertonians when I used to go and play at Goodison Park, it was always a daunting place to go and a brilliant atmosphere. And there's not many better places to go and play your football when you get it right at that club. And they're all fighting for their lives. The players, the manager, the fans, because they want to be a Premier League club next season. And I think that might just get them over the line against Leicester, albeit it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, so tight game, that one. They've drawn 48% of the fixtures, would you believe? 15 of 31 between Leicester and Everton. Yeah. Right, so you said you're not sure who goes down, but who goes down, Mickey? This is what you're here for. So
yeah,
Norwich and Watford. What's your gut feeling?
Yeah, I think Norwich and Watford, I think we all probably agree on that. And it's basically who wants it the most. I see Everton actually staying in the Premier League. I don't know where they're going to get the points from.
So you're looking Burnley or Leeds?
I think you're looking at Burnley or Leeds, and it's so difficult to call. I mean, I want them all to stay up because I think, they've all got their own great stories, haven't they? But at the end of the day, one of them has to drop into that bottom three.
Do you feel maybe Leeds might be the ones here? I know you said Burnley might win this weekend.
Well, I mean, sometimes you can easily point and go, well, change your manager, it's not worked out for them. But, you look at Everton, have done exactly the same thing. Burnley have got a caretaker manager in there at the moment. Leeds United have obviously got rid of Bielsa, and Jesse Marsch has come through the door. Now, it's great to try and get behind all these three managers and those three sides, but unfortunately, it doesn't work where every side can stay in the Premier League. And I think the form at the moment, I just wonder and worry for Leeds United of where the goals are going to come from.
Let's talk about who might be going into the Premier League as well, because who's going to make the playoffs? We know Fulham got the job done finally, and they did it pretty emphatically as well. And then, of course, Bournemouth took a while, didn't they, to get over the line. A lot of controversy involved with that Nottingham Forest game. But the playoffs are looming. Sheffield United take on Fulham, Luton, Reading, Preston, Borough, Bournemouth, Millwall this week. We know Forest and Huddersfield are okay, but who's going to join them?
Well, I think Middlesbrough are going to jump and leapfrog Sheffield United. I've just looked at the fixtures.
Yeah, take on Fulham.
Yeah.
Nothing to play for Fulham, which can work two ways, but they're class, aren't they, Fulham?
Oh, they're incredible. I mean, you just have to have a look at that Luton performance. Everybody might have thought that might have been a bit of a banana skin performance. They go and score 7 goals. It could have been more. So they're not going to let it slip. And I think Marco Silva will say to his players, let's go out on a high. Let's go and win this football match. Tough place to go to, Bramall Lane, but I do see Fulham winning that game. I see Luton beating Reading, but I also see in the other games, I see Middlesbrough beating Preston.
Yeah.
And I think with Sheffield United losing, Middlesbrough winning, I think that's where the leapfrog happens, which will be Chris Wilder going to Middlesbrough, leapfrogging the club that he supports and loves, obviously a side that he took into the Premier League, but that's the job he's got to do. And it's cutthroat as a manager, and I see Middlesbrough getting themselves into those playoffs. You look at Bournemouth, Millwall. I think Bournemouth will get the job done against Millwall, so that means they slip out. It was going to be hard for Millwall anyway. And when you get to the playoffs, again, it's that lottery, as everybody says. But what I would love to see, and I don't know if everybody's on the same page as me, but the football I've seen from them this season, I'd absolutely love to see Nottingham Forest do it, get themselves into that final and see them in the Premier League next season. I think
they'd be a great addition, wouldn't they? And it's been too long, hasn't it, for Forest?
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. All the other sides will be thinking, well, hang on a minute, we've got a chance. Huddersfield, so hard to beat, score goals, difficult to score against. It is so tough in those playoffs, but I'm going to stick it out there. I think that my favourites would be, just for the crowd, the atmosphere and the tradition of the club, I'd love to see Nottingham Forest do it.
There you go, putting his neck on the line. Quick glance at League One playoffs as well. Wickham, MK Dons, Sunderland against Sheffield Wednesday. I'm asking because, of course, your former club are in there. Can they do it?
Well, they can do it. Yeah, I think this is probably one of the first playoffs that we've actually gone into as a club and not being favourites. You see where we finished in the league. We've had a decent end of the season under Alex Neil. He certainly shored us up at the back. We've stopped conceding as many goals. The away performances have got better. As it's 11 or 12, I think we're unbeaten at the moment. But we're playing against a side that I think everybody maybe wanted as the final. Sunderland against Sheffield Wednesday. Darren Moore's done a brilliant job at Sheffield Wednesday, and they've got some top players. Barry Bannon, in my eyes, I think is probably the best player in League One. He should be playing in a higher league. But again, stadium light, atmosphere, it's going to be absolutely fantastic on Friday evening, and then they need something to hang on to when they go to Hillsborough on Monday evening, because that is going to be so tough. They got thumped there, Sunderland 3-0 earlier on the season. It was a game I was at. They didn't perform. Things have changed since then. But it's not Sunderland or Sheffield Wednesday. Whoever gets the final have got a toughie against Wickham or MK Dons. Unbeaten in 12, Wickham under Gareth Ainsworth. They've been in the Championship not so long ago, obviously. I mean, up and down straight away. But he's done a super job there as well. And then you look at Liam Manning at MK Dons, 36 years old. Nobody probably expected to see what MK Dons have proved this season. But what a side. And really unfortunate not to finish in the top 2 come the end of the season. So they've got it all to do in the playoffs. Can they bounce back?
It's exciting, isn't it? These times are exciting. We've just about wrapped up all the matches, bar a couple of the Premier League. So, quick prediction: Brentford to beat Southampton, yes or no?
I fancy Brentford, but I think it's a bit of a non-entity game. Brentford look as if they can't wait till the end of the season. They've done absolutely brilliant, and full credit to them. I think they're going to be a Premier League side next year, and they can only get better. Southampton, hit and miss certainly at the end of the season. It's one of those games where you just think, let's get it over with, but I'm going to go with the home side to win it.
There you go. And you went with Burnley to beat Villa, 2-1 the price.
Yeah, I think Burnley will beat Villa, and that will be a massive win for them.
Yeah, and Palace Watford we've not mentioned.
Crystal Palace.
Favourites,
yeah, I think Watford just can't wait for this season to be over. I think we all know that they're going to be a championship side next season, whether it's going to be under a new reign, a new manager, new players coming in yet again. But I go for the home side to win that one.
And one more, Chelsea Wolves. Difficult from Chelsea from what happened last week. And are they on the beach a little bit? But I suppose they've got the cup final, haven't they? So they've got to go play for places, haven't
certainly
they?
Something that they're looking forward to. Wolves look flat again. The European aspirations are probably gone now. Chelsea looked a little bit flat over the last couple of weeks. Everything that's going on off the field, but I think they'll put in a performance and they'll win that game.
And we looked at Liverpool Spurs, so we'll just rattle through these and get these. Liverpool 4-9 to beat Tottenham.
Yeah, I think they'll beat them. I'm going to go 2-1.
Arsenal, Leeds United 4-9. You said Arsenal. You sticking with it?
I think there'll be goals in that game. I'm going to go 3-1 to Arsenal.
Yeah, Leicester Everton.
Well, I've gone for Everton to win that game, but a tight game. It could be a draw, but I'm going to go for Everton to win 1-0.
Yeah, it'll be 2-1. Norwich take on West Ham, and of course West Ham have had a massive week as well. Yeah,
it just depends what David Moyes, what 11 he plays. I mean, Norwich are playing for a bit of pride, I suppose. I'm going to go for a score draw in that game.
Well, there you go. 13-5 for the draw, though. And then finally City to see off Newcastle. But they are a big price, Newcastle, aren't they?
Yeah, big price. I think they will score, but I do see Man City getting a few goals as well.
There you go. Brilliant as always from Micky. Should be another intriguing. Well, it's been a roller coaster, hasn't it, so far? Liverpool or City? Micky still thinks City. We shall see. Good luck to Sunderland as well in the playoffs.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we shall see. That is it as far as the football show is concerned. Listen, thanks for your company. We're going to do it all again next week. Good luck with all your bets this weekend.